Hi friends, all for art and art for all. Today I'm going to guide you in a little owl drawing and painting. We're going to focus on making browns without using the brown from the tray by combining complementary colors, yellow and purple, and blue and orange. So let's get started. This little guy was inspired by the saw-whet owl that was trapped in the Rockefeller tree and but luckily he was noticed and released to a new home. Let's start with a big pie pan eye, a little off center towards the top. And then the eyeball that's next to it is not quite going to be a circle. Let's make that one a little bit ovular. And we're going to give it a reflection. Let's put a contour down at the bottom of our reflection that's similar in the two. And using Sharpie, can fill that pupil in. Give a little guide for the color that we're going to add at the end for our yellow iris. Suggest that along the top, giving about a ½ centimeter space there. That'll be the only really primary color that we take and let show in its full primary glory. So our beak is going to start in between, below center, come down below the eye, and then starting farther from the left here, almost below the eye, we're going to come down. And then we're not going to fill that all in, we're just going to show the side. And most of this will be covered up by feathers. We're not going to draw too many of the feathers, let's just suggest some of them here. Do a couple of little jagged lines coming from either side of the beak. And then the chest feathers, we'll start right below that. And between the eyes, I'm going to do the satellite dish of feathers that surround, just with some little jagged suggestions of feathers. These really are dish shaped so that the feathers actually act as a way of concentrating the sound so that owls can hear better. There's going to be kind of a flat head, just a couple little dash lines. And then I'm going to go around, I'm going to swing wide on the side of my head and go off the page. And then starting here, some more suggestions of feathers. I'm not going to do too much more with my Sharpie because I want to get in and have some fun with the paint. I'm not going to use any black. You can certainly use any colors you want to. Go ahead and have fun. I am going to load up my paint trays with water. So I've got my orange, yellow, blue, and purple. And remember, if you drip or have something seems like an accident, we'll just make it. There are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. All right, here we go. So I'm going to start by getting my chest feathers wet. And I'm going to work some yellow back here. And I'm going to work light. Certainly easier to add color than take it away. So working some yellow there. I'm going to work with the complement now. The secondary color that doesn't have the yellow primary is the complement. And I'm just going to make some jagged, feathery kind of lines. And I don't want it to be a drawing, so I'm going to get some more water in here. And I'm going to play around a little bit now with some orange. keeping some of my darker, keeping more of my color around the edges. Add some blue now. The paper gets a little dark when it's wet, and so when this dries, this will actually perk up quite a bit. So have fun with the colors. It's interesting how certain places the water spreads a little differently on the paper, just depending on how it's soaked or what the finish is on your paper. So I'm going to choose to leave some pretty warm light area in the chest there. And then I'm going to wet these feathers around the back and the top of the head and work them as a different color group. Come in with some orange that's got a little bit of purple in it. I'm going to start on the outside and then come back with some water and maybe spread that in a little. And I'm not doing too much on this side. I'm going to try and keep some white around the eyes. Keep some white around the eyes, keeping some light in here. And just get some jagged, some of that water. If you have some standing water there, you'll get a fun blend. Let the water, the color, the pigment bleed. So I want to let the pigment do some of the work. Come around the outside here, maybe show just a little bit of definition. And then maybe I'll come in this little area that's different underneath the beak. Let the tip of my brush lay some color. And then come in here on these margins and add some of that definition. Okay. So I want to get my brush good and clean because now I'm going to pop over for the yellow. And I want to control the water on the tip of my brush. I want to get our colorful background in, put that salt to use in the background. Let's get a nice clean yellow around the outside for our iris. And I do my circles in parts. You know, it's not quite like making a circle with a pen. You have to watch your bristles, pull them around, think of them as arcs that are coming together rather than one big circle. All right. Nice contrast there. And now for the outside. I'm going to get my paper wet first because the effect I'm going for here, I'm going to use some salt. Move my brush, my tray back a bit. I'm going to use some salt to get some interesting texture. For the salt to work, it's going to be attracted to the water molecules, the sodium and the chlorine in the salt. They're going to dissociate. They're attracted to the charge that water has, and that attraction is going to pull water and pigment with it. So let's start around the outside. So I'm working my purple and my blue, and I need to really have some wet paint, not too dark. So let's get some different colors in there. I'm even going to throw in some green. What the heck. So don't let it get too dry. I don't know if you see how often I'm going back for water. Now that it should be glistening. If it's not glistening, the salt won't do much. When I sprinkle that salt down, it's going to suck the water, the standing water that I put there. It'll take the pigment with it. When it dries, that pigment won't be an even wash. It'll be a little uneven and give it some texture. So I hope you enjoyed your owl. All for art and art for all.